Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray, Shaka Hislop and Stuart Robson still with us for another day at least here in the studio, looking ahead to a big weekend of action. And on Sunday, we will get to see a big showdown between Chelsea and Arsenal in the Premier League coming up at Stamford Bridge. And ahead of it, Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca has provided some good news for the Chelsea fans.
Good to see you. We were watching training earlier and saw Cole Palmer in training. How is he feeling? Is he available to play and is he available to start on Sunday?
It's available for both.
There's a lot of good players, obviously, for you to choose from, but I think Chelsea fans can't wait to see Palmer with Esteval. Do you think how sort of worrying for opposition defences do you think those two could be as a combination?
No, they can play together. They can play together. Depends, against which team, depends a little bit the game plan, but for sure they are excited. The fans, they are excited to watch both together. We also are excited, thinking that at the end we need always, balance between the two faces.
Julian Laurent joining us now to talk more about this. So the news there for the Chelsea fans, as you heard, is that Cole Palmer is fit and ready to play and that he can play alongside Esteval. On the Cole Palmer being fit, guys, would you start him?
No, he might be fit from the injury, but I don't think he's match fit yet, unless he's had lots of games behind closed doors. Chelsea have played well in the last couple of games. It's a massive game for him. If he starts off and doesn't perform particularly well because he's not fully fit and can't adjust to the pace of the game, that would be a blow to him. So if I was the manager, I'd be looking to bring him on after about 60 minutes, depending on how the game's going.
You're nodding along there, Shaq?
Yeah, I fully agree. Listen, 2 months out is a long time in this game in terms of bringing a player back in and throwing him in at the deep end to start with. As good a player as Cole Palmer may be, logic suggests, as Robbo said, start him on the bench. If things go easy or things are ease up later on, you could bring him on if it's needed, whatever it may be, but no way you start it.
Which version of Chelsea would scare you most, Jules?
Oh, the one with Cole Palmer, but again, the one with a fully fit, match-fit Cole Palmer, not really the one that we have. He hasn't played since September. I agree with the boys. And also, if there's one game where you really have to be match-fit and at your best physically to play against the team, is Arsenal, because you know the intensity, you know the physicality that they're going to bring into this game, even away at Stamford Bridge. So if Palmer is not really match fit, there's no. It's not that there's no point because he's still Chelsea's best player, but like Robbo said, it's much better if you bring him on, and they're going to build these minutes anyway. You can't just. This is the Premier League. It's not Sunday morning football. You can't just arrive after 2 months without playing football and play at this kind of level against the best team in Europe. So it's natural that he would be on the bench and then maybe come on, otherwise he would play the next game.
Jules, this is your strongest 11 right now, considering the fact that Cole Palmer is just coming back. This is what you put together for Chelsea.
Yeah, because I want to see Esteval in there. I think he deserves to start even against Arsenal. He played really well against Barcelona on Tuesday night in the Champions League. That would mean moving Neto on the other side, where it's not obviously the best wing for Neto. He's better on the right-hand side. He's left-footed like Esteval. But I think he can do a really good job with Cucurella on that left-hand side. Joao Pedro as the 9 ahead of Neto, who played against Barcelona, or the lap. Enzo Fernandez cannot play deeper, not against a team like Arsenal. He's not mobile enough. He's not defensive-minded enough. So he will play in that 10 where Palmer would play if Palmer was started. And then Reece James, because Lavia is injured again. And Reece James is what Maresca has of closer to be able to play in that defensive position in a double pivot with Caicedo. And I think the back four picks itself, really.
What do you think of that 11?
It's the best 11 they could put out against Arsenal. And Jules is absolutely right. Against Arsenal, who play with intensity, play with great strength, great physicality. The pace of the game is going to be great. I don't think Fernandez can play as that holding midfield player alongside Caicedo, who's been excellent. He's going to be a key player for them. And Reece James coming in from, he did it quite well when he was actually playing at right back and then would come into midfield. Now he's playing as a midfield player all the time, and I think he does the job well. You could question maybe one or two of the centre halves. They've got 3 or 4 centre halves, are all very similar in sort of performance level. But that's probably the best team. And Neto is a dangerous player out on that left-hand side.
Are we seeing a competitive matchup here?
As competitive as you can get from Chelsea, and especially kind of given the game against Barcelona that Jules referenced. Okay, Neto drops back and goes wide, as João Pedro comes in as the out-and-out striker. But given that performance, given how good that lineup worked for Enzo Maresca, no need to tinker any more than that, and bringing João Pedro in and adjusting Neto to suit. I think, it makes perfect sense.
We're just going to take a look at the standings, because obviously we know how strong Arsenal have been recently, at the top of the table in the Premier League as it stands. If they win, they'd be at least 7 points clear of Manchester City, 9 points clear of Chelsea, and at least 11 points clear of Liverpool as well. The title race would be over, wouldn't it, Jules? You've got to say so then.
Well, you can't win the title at the end of November or the beginning of December, but it will start to be a very significant gap, to be fair. And obviously anything can happen later in the season. If Arsenal go find the Champions League, for example, and we'll have to play huge games at the weekend, then in midweek, then at the weekend again, this can take a lot out of you. But if by the start of December they're already 7 clear, 9 clear, and even more on Liverpool, who are Chelsea, City and Liverpool will be the 3 biggest challengers that they would have this season, really, then I think it's obviously a huge boost for them and a huge step towards the title, but it would not be decided in December.
What do you say?
Well, I said on the show, I think last week, at the moment, I'm 100% sure that Arsenal will win the title, because they are playing very well. I can't see any of the other sides being consistent enough to cause them a problem. They've got a big squad that can come in when, and Jules just said it, when they're playing in the Champions League and playing in the FA Cup and lots of big games. They've got a big enough squad now to rotate that and still be a very good side. Arsenal have got it all going at the moment.
What does the algorithm say?
The algorithm says it's Arsenal's all the way. Listen, and I get Jules' point. It's late November going into early December, and conventional wisdom says no title is decided then. But it'll take a very brave or very stupid man to put a bet on anybody else other than Arsenal at this point to win the title. So that being said, right now you can only see it going one way unless something extraordinary happens back end of the season. I'm not the one putting a bet on anybody else.
All right, so nobody's too much going against Arsenal. Jules keeping a level head here. We're about to put him to the test, though, because here are the predictions. It's pretty much across the board. Everybody's saying Arsenal will win this one, except for Shock Frank Leboeuf. He's not here to explain himself, although we don't need him to. We all know why he's picked Chelsea there. But Jules, this is a bit of a litmus test for you, because yesterday on the show we reported Joshua Kimmich saying that PSG are better than Arsenal. So now we're going to ask you to pick between 2 teams you're very fond of, PSG or Arsenal. Who's better?
I mean, right now, I love Joshua Kimmich. Right now, Arsenal are the better team, the best team in Europe. There's just no doubt. PSG are nowhere near the level that they were in the second half of last season, when they were better than anybody else. I think he said that he preferred the style of football that PSG are playing, which is fine. We said on the show before, and it's no disrespect to Arsenal or not taking anything away from them, but they don't play the most sexy football in Europe right now. As we said, it's very powerful, it's very efficient in the 2 boxes, it's very solid, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of intensity, but it's not the most free-flowing football, for example. So I can see where Kimmich is coming from, although he also said that all they do is long balls. If you look at Wednesday night's game, Bayern Munich had more long balls in that game than Arsenal. So maybe Kimmich was a little bit better to have lost that game. But I can see where he's coming from. I mean, Mikel Arteta would be very happy to win the title, even if his team doesn't play that great.
There's no power rankings this week. They had a Thanksgiving break. However, Shaq, if there had been power rankings this week, who would have been ahead of who?
Arsenal at the top. Arsenal at the top. Given everything we've seen from them, was it 13 wins in their last 14, the dismantling of Bayern Munich, despite what Joshua Kimmich says, I thought that was a very good performance. Now, to Kimmich's point, you could maybe make the argument that PSG right now are better than PSG were this time last year. We saw what they did in the second half of the season and how that all came together. But that being said, right now, Arsenal is still better than the version of PSG right now. They know what they're doing. They're efficient at what they do. They won't get sucked into the trap of trying to pass their way out of pressure, to Kimmich's point about the balls going over the top. If they press high up, they are more than comfortable in going over the top of that pressure. And that's credit to Arsenal. That's credit to Arteta and how he sets his teams up, that they can play in any way up against any kind of opponent. they're just that good or that efficient right now.
Craig brought up yesterday the experience factor here, though, and that going in PSG's favour right now.
Yes, that's the only thing I can see going in PSG's favour, because they are going to get better. I think Jules said they're not playing at their very best as they were last year. But the thing about Arsenal is that, you know, and the best teams are always able to do this. No matter what sort of game it's going to be, we're ready for it. If you want to fight, we'll have a fight and we'll out-scrap you, we'll out-battle you. If you want it to be a game of intensity, we'll do that as well. If we have to go long, we'll go long and we'll win the knockdowns and play from there. If it's a game where there's not too many chances and it comes to set pieces, we'll win that battle as well. So at the moment, Arsenal are the best team. At the moment, Arsenal are the best team. But they do play a different style of football to PSG, who can pass you off the field, have got great movement, great individual quality. But what I've seen in the Champions League so far, and as Jules said, PSG haven't quite been at their very best.
I will say, I'll quote Frank Leboeuf here. Frank always talks about you have to hit the post before it goes in first. Now, Arsenal sitting in the league, have hit the post 3 times now. Maybe this is the year that it comes good for them, but they still haven't gotten to that final and understand and get to experience that environment and the pressure that comes with it. Whereas so many of Europe's other big boys can boast as much. Not Arsenal, and you just wonder, as good as they are, and again, as good as that performance was, as good as they look right now, will that experience be the deciding factor on the final day, should they get there?
Should Frank not be a bit more clinical and not have to hit the post before it goes in first?
Frank's a defender. He can do what he wants. He won the World Cup, you know.
Yeah, he did win the World Cup.
Did win the World Cup,
he's never told me that before.
Yeah.
He's very modest about that. Very
Guarded
humble.
secret. It's a very guarded secret.
Doesn't like to mention it too much. The World Cup draw is 1 week away, and FIFA have kept the top seeds apart in that draw, announcing the top 4 seeds, according to the FIFA rankings, won't face each other until the semi-final and the final. This, of course, would only apply if the 4 countries win their groups, those countries being Spain, Argentina, France and England. Is this a good thing, Jules? Does it matter?
I think it's a terrible decision by FIFA. Really, winning your group is one thing, no problem. You get a favourable draw after that for the last 32 and potentially the last 16. But after that, anybody should be able to face anybody else. What is this protective thing that, because they're the 4 best ranking teams in the world right now, they can't face each other before the semi-final, and obviously for 2 of them, not before the final. This is just ridiculous. I think it's almost as bad as the decision to obviously only ban Cristiano Ronaldo for 1 game and not more than that, so he can play the first game of the World Cup. But let's say it was not a great week from FIFA.
How do you tie that in? How Ronaldo get blamed here?
Just wanted to get it in. Is he right though? Not on Ronaldo. Is he right on the seeding?
No, I like this. I mean, and 2018, you had the ridiculous scenario of England in the group stage trying to decide whether to go win the game, their final group game against Belgium, it was at the time, to get an easier path through to the final. Now, for me, that just kind of goes against everything that football should be about. You go out onto the pitch to win the game. You don't go out there kind of, well, I hope we lose so we can get an easier path. And this at least negates that. It does away with that as a possibility or an option.
Okay, you were talking about it being the more tennis-style seeding, so I wondered what you thought of it.
Shaka's trying to convince me here.
Really? Has he changed your mind?
I've changed my mind slightly. When Shaka starts talking about that and teams going out to lose their last game or thinking about losing their last game or not performing quite so well.
Which England did.
Which I didn't think about
in 2018.
at all. But Shaka, no wonder you worked for IFAB for all these years.
Has Shaka changed Jules' mind, though? That really is the question right now.
Oh, boy.
Well, no, because if France finished second, then for England, obviously, finishes first or second would also be different. So it might be better for them to finish second, and that last game might still be approached in the same way as in the 2018 World Cup. I just think the draw is the draw. You can't protect anybody. You make the draw. If we have a quarterfinal like in 2022 between France and England, so be it. It will be a great quarterfinal that will also enable somebody else like Morocco to reach the semi-final of the World Cup. Because really, let's be honest here, they're doing this because they want those 4 in the semi-final, right? This is the only reason why. They don't want Morocco in the semi-final to play against France. They don't want Croatia to be in the semi-final to play against Argentina. What they want is those 4, I guess maybe the most prestigious, or certainly the ones with the biggest stars, or maybe that can pull the most in terms of revenue and viewing figures and anything you want. in the semi-finals. That's the only reason why they're doing this. So I just think this is unfair.
Morocco.
Oh, he's selling it to me. Jules is selling it to me now. I'm going with Jules. Forget what you said.
To that point, Morocco,
iPad man, forget that. I'm going with Jules now.
Morocco got to his semi-final 3 years ago by beating Spain. In the quarters. Now, again, because it's seeded doesn't mean that a Morocco won't get to a semi-final. It just means that now you kind of know your path, and for me, I like it because it takes out this kind of possibility or posturing that we need to lose this game to get an easier path. It doesn't guarantee one team being in the semi-final or not. It doesn't.
30-15, I think, to Xhaka.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's just convinced me again.
Jules, would you like to rein him back in?
Can we get a juice somewhere?
Anything else to add there, Jules?
But just, it will be an easier path for them four, obviously, because they can't play each other before the semi-finals. So already the quarterfinals, right, is 8 teams. In those 8 teams, if those 4 are finished top of their group, they can't face each other. So naturally, the other 4 teams in the quarters won't be as strong as them 4 because they are the 4 best team in the country. That's where I think is wrong and unfair, because you should be able to have Spain against France in the quarterfinals, England against Argentina in the semi-final, regardless of who they are and where they are in the FIFA rankings right now. And obviously, if they can't face each other, the quarterfinals will be easier. By definition, it's pretty simple.
Juice. In other words, I don't really care.
No.
I think both arguments are good, but yeah, I don't really care.
But we did put you all to task because, as mentioned, we're a week away from the draw, so we've asked everybody to put together a dream draw for the group stages, and this is what we're looking at here. Xhaka with Brazil, Japan, Ivory Coast and Italy, Stuart Robson with Mexico, Uruguay, Egypt and Turkey, Julian Laurent with France, Iran, Panama and New Zealand. We asked for an exciting group stage draw. Did you go with exciting or did you read easy there, Jules?
France.
Maybe I misunderstood the task, I think.
Yeah.
I thought producer Mike said the dream draw for the French national team. So
Biased. See how biased
easiest
this
one
is?
possible. So I
You can't
picked
go biased.
Producer Mike is saying that he never said France. Mm-hmm. So
that's Jules.
Who do we
reading,
believe, though?
Jules reading between the lines and getting it all wrong.
So when you did hear what you heard, Jules, tell us how you came to this draw.
Yeah, I mean, simply because I just looked at what would be the weakest team in pot 2, 3 and 4. And 4, obviously, we don't know yet all the teams that have qualified. So there could be New Caledonia, there could be Iraq, and New Zealand is probably similar. I mean, if it had been like, what kind of game would you be happy to see between France and somebody else? It would be closer to Sharks and Robo, obviously. But I just thought World Cup dream draw, as in what's the easiest for the French. So here we go.
That's Jules' dream draw.
I mean, you can see how he came to it, right?
Yeah, because he wants France to go all the way. Yeah, he wants no seeding. He wants everybody easy. Yeah, that's Jules' dream draw.
And fair, a few of us did need some explanations. I definitely kind of half took it Jules' way in the first place and then got some clarification and then things adjusted after that. Xhaka, I know that you had to make a few adjustments.
I had to make an adjustment. I had Ghana in there instead of Italy, and I found out when I came in here.
And again, member of IFAB.
He
was, and he didn't even know the rules.
2 teams from the same confederation and Leicester from UEFA.
My thinking, my initial draw, again, I had Ghana instead of Italy, was in this group stage, all 4 teams might feel, I've got a chance here. And as much as Brazil are the highest ranked of those, listen, we see how Carlo Ancelotti kind of gets his team to gel, but I'm not convinced that this Brazil team is as good as any Brazil team I've seen. And keep in mind how the disappointments of 3 years ago. So, but now Italy coming in instead of Ghana because of the rules.
Italy have got to qualify, remember?
Italy have got to qualify, and I've been very.
They haven't qualified yet.
I'm just telling producer Mike told me I can have Italy.
And sometimes we're just trying to see how it would make the draw fit that we're choosing.
And I thought Italy in that group would be interesting in that kind of, given Gattuso's criticisms that which I spoke about, having 3 teams from 3 other confederations up against Italy, see whether Gattuso had a point or not. I've been very critical, as you know. If he can prove me wrong, or he can prove me very right in that group draw.
Given that I did get the assignment correct in the end, Jules, I fixed it for you, and I thought this would be a very exciting group stage draw for France, and I'd like to see what you would think of this. Iraq to make the things work. Morocco and Norway in there. How do you feel about that?
That would be great. You know, I would want to see like a rematch between France and Morocco after the last World Cup semi-final. I think a lot of us will be looking at Norway and Erling Haaland for their first tournament, first World Cup since Jan Åge Fjørtoft played there in 1998. And I saw him the other day. Arsenal was so excited already about the World Cup that is in 6 months. So I can't even start to imagine what he would be like on the eve of the start of the tournament. And you had Iraq in fourth. I think it's great for teams. If Iraq make it, obviously they haven't made it yet. But if they did, them, Uzbekistan, Jordan, all those teams, Curacao, obviously, Haiti, it would be great. I think whoever is in their group, it would be amazing because it would be a great story.
I want to know more about that picture of you. What was that going on there?
That was the official Borough Babe. You know what?
How young were you there?
22.
The second last year.
Thank you, Jules. That's why Jules is my favourite pundit that comes on here on ESPN FC. It was just me last year. That was my
So you were a Borough Babe?
I was the Borough Babe. I was the official face of the channel, the kit model. Oh. And it's all gone downhill from there.
Hang on. We didn't say that.
No, I'm just laughing along.
Yeah.
I'm staying on to this.
I worked there for the season that I was the Borough Babe. We won our only ever cup. And we haven't won another cup since. The League Cup.
The League Cup, yeah.
All right, Robbo, seeing as though you're so professional and you're putting all of these guys to shame, these part-timers, you didn't just give us one.
Well, when you sat at the Doubletree for hour on hour, you got a bit of time. So I wanted two groups that I thought anybody could win. So every game means something. And I got the two home sides in as well, the two host nations. So United States with Morocco, Norway and Italy. I think that would be an absolutely great group. You wouldn't know who would win that, who would come second. And Italy, of course, have got to qualify. And the other one, Mexico, Uruguay, Egypt and Turkey. All, I think, decent sides. But you couldn't pick out who would win and who would come second. That's why I like to see good games at the World Cup, tight games at the World Cup, where you don't know who's going to win. And that group would give you that.
I will point out, though, there are three host nations. So I was expecting three groups from you, Robbo.
Yeah,
but I didn't like Canada's group. So I just
Did you like Robbo's hairstyle on the pic?
that was a long time ago.
Really?
I was 17 there.
Jules is not chiming in with, that was last year.
But he can't say too much. Jules is going as well. Did you see that photo of him? He had a big mop coming across.
I'm not saying anything against Jules on the show today. Jules is my mate now. Pochettino probably wouldn't like that draw that you picked for the US men's national team too much there.
It doesn't matter because they're going to win the tournament.
They are. He's very, very, very excited. He's aiming big. He says, for me, it's about winning. If you don't win, what does it matter? If you are second, nobody ever remembers. And I believe we should aspire to win it. Then you tell me you reach a semi-final, you reach quarter-finals, you have a great tournament, and due to different factors, well, you can't win. We have to give ourselves credit. I believe it's important to think big. Shaka, is he right to be talking like this?
He has no other choice, in all honesty. As manager, as head coach of a host nation, he has to say that. And I think he's right in saying that. Now, whether this US team is as good as ones we've seen in the past, whether they can go as far, that's irrelevant at this point. Right now, the US men's national team are playing as good as we've seen them for, I'd want to say 8, maybe 12 years. They're the host nation. He's been paid a lot of money as head coach. He has to, that's where they have to set their sights. Now, they fall short, so be it. We figure that out at the end. But right now, there's nothing else he could say.
I think he could have said it slightly differently, to sort of say, we're playing well at the moment, as Shaka just said. The first stage is getting out the group. We've got to make sure we do well, and then it's game by game, and we want to win every game, rather than using the word win the World Cup, or the words win the World Cup. That makes it a lot of pressure on himself.
What do you think, Jules?
I think it's this thing about mentality, isn't it? And he's been talking a lot about it and changing the mentality, the soccer mentality in the country and all of that, which I can understand in one way, although I also think that he should focus on the pitch and the players and getting this team to the best level possible, fitness-wise, collectively, tactically, individually, all of that, before even thinking about winning the World Cup. I'm all for being hungry and ambitious and all of that, no problem at all. But I think there's a lot to do before even being there. Because like Robo just said, if you don't even make it to the last 32, you've got obviously no chance of going the whole way. So sometimes I feel with him that it's all good to make those statements and think about the mentality and the mind and the mindset aspect. He should also think a lot more about the pitch.
Shaka, you are our Football America's representative on tonight's show. How far should they be going?
I think the US should, at the very least, get to the quarterfinal. I think if they get to the semis, that's a successful tournament for them. Anything
Because they're good enough to get to the quarterfinal, or because that's what the expectation is?
Well, right now they're good enough. Right now, what we've seen from them, particularly over the last international window, suggests that they're good enough to get to a quarterfinal, if not a semi-final. And they've been certainly trending in the right direction. Now, again, we are 9 months away from the World Cup, and so we see how things come together, things change, how teams peak come June next year. But right now, they're good enough. And again, as a host nation, you generally get, well, never mind this seeded draw thing that Jules is so upset about. You normally get at least an easy group out to start with, and then you build confidence from there. And I think all things go well.
If they get to the semi-finals, they've done magnificently well. When we mentioned the 4 teams that are seeded to get to the semi-finals, there's no way that the US national side are anywhere near as good as those 4 teams. So if they get to the semi-final, they've done brilliant.
Yeah. Quarterfinal is par. Quarterfinals for me is par for the course for the US in this tournament.
Okay, well, the World Cup draw is coming up. We're a week away from it, and we will be covering it on ESPN all across the day. We will keep you up to date of everything that's going on over on YouTube, live for the draw from 12:30 Eastern, and then looking back at it all and talking about it at 4 Eastern on ESPN2. Be sure to be with us. Gladbach and Leipzig played out a 0-0 draw today as the Bundesliga's latest round 12 kicked off. Lots more action coming up this weekend. Leipzig up there in second, but still quite far behind Bayern, who take on St. Pauli tomorrow. We'll also be seeing Leverkusen hosting Dortmund at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. You can catch those games on ESPN+.
And then to the latest edition of it. Oh dear. Good start.
As promised, Stuart Robson has joined us, who smells lovely, by the way, today.
He's not angry. I'm not angry.
You're fast becoming a horrible little man, you are.
Here's this phrase I didn't think I'd say. I missed you yesterday, Craig. Frank, what would happen if you didn't shave your head? Would you have the halo?
Shut up. Ask your question, you know. Don't ask question like that.
You are not a legend, Dan.
Yes, I know that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Postecoglou has done, obviously, at Spurs.
You said Postecoglou funny.
Yeah, I said it weird that time.
Yeah.
Normally I don't. I say it properly.
Your attitude today has not been very
What do you mean? I've asked you a question. You said, what are you looking at me for? I'm asking you a question.
Can I have a wee?
No, you can't. We're live still, Kieran. This is a dream. Half an hour of me. That's it then. That brings us to the end of today's show.
Got to give yourself a clap there.
Check it all those everyone. Splendid effort.
Happy birthday, Dan. And he got to see you as well this week, so it's been a very happy birthday for him.
Mind you, Craig was absolutely right. Horrible man at times.
Oh, Dan, we love you. Dan will be back tomorrow. Make sure to join us here on ESPN FC. Lots to look back on tomorrow's show, with lots of big games coming up this weekend. Extra time on the way now. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We've got Shaka and Robbo in the studio. Jules is with us as well, and we've got plenty of questions to get through. All right, first one is using Jules's journalistic skills. Jules, a report came out today that Zizou is considering the Liverpool job. Please tell everyone that this is garbage news.
Completely garbage. Rubbish. I mean, you really want me to go there? Or this is enough? Or do you want me to explain why this is silly?
Tell us why it's silly. Tell us why we're even seeing reports like this.
I mean, I don't know. That's people making things up. There's no way, or AI maybe. I don't know where this is coming from. I didn't see it today, or nobody asked me about it before. But if somebody is lying, if he wrote that a source told him that Zinedine Zidane is considering the Liverpool job, for a few reasons, I'm just going to give you the two most obvious ones and important ones. The first one and the biggest one of all is that he's about to take over Didier Deschamps as the France national team head coach at the end of the World Cup. And he's ready for this, and it should be announced probably around March or April. And the other one is that he doesn't speak a word of English. And there is no way that Zinedine Zidane, whose biggest quality as a manager is the man management skills that he has, would go to a country where he doesn't speak the language and can't communicate with the players. So I don't know if Liverpool fans would be disappointed even, but this is never going to happen.
So there.
Did Jules just say that journalists sometimes make it up? I mean, no, surely
Only
not.
bad ones.
Surely
Only
not.
bad ones. Not Jules's
Blame AI.
hand.
Blame AI.
AIs, yeah, they're the ones that
Like
fault.
what? AI's got nothing to do these days.
All right, looking back, what was the bigger mistake Liverpool made? Letting Trent Alexander-Arnold go or giving large contracts to ageing stars?
Well, I would have always said that Alexander-Arnold's not my sort of player because I don't think he can defend, and he's showing that at Real Madrid. So I didn't think it was a loss for Liverpool. Unfortunately for them, that Frimpong has been injured, and Conor Bradley hasn't done as well as they thought he was going to do. But I always thought it was a danger giving ageing stars massive contracts because they're now on superior wages. They're another year older. Next season they're going to be another year older, and at some point your form and your abilities are going to go downhill. So I think that's the bigger mistake.
All right. For Jules, if Arsenal and PSG meet again in the Champions League semi-finals, who would you want to go through?
That's a great question. Somebody else was asking me the question today about when they face each other last season and who did the kids support and things like that. Seeing how amazing last season was for PSG and the final and Munich and all of that, I think I probably would be okay. Well, it could be Arsenal's turn now, so I'll probably be happy if Arsenal make it to the final in the hope that they would also win it later.
Who did the kids support last year?
Yeah.
You kind of just skirted over that, Jules.
Tottenham.
Is he not answering?
No, he's not
I mean, I'm a
answering.
sharer. You know I'm a sharer, so I would be happy with this. PSG is obviously the heart from a long time
Who
ago,
did the
45 years
kids
ago when I was
support
born.
last season, Jules? Never mind you, Shearer.
And this is, I think, to be fair, the
That's not
little
a hard
one,
question.
she's only 8 and she was
Who
like...
did the kids like?
No, I'm just...
It can only be one of
No,
two
because there's a
things.
good explanation, Robo.
Yeah.
There's a good explanation, a really rational explanation from the boys. The little one, she's only 8 and she said, I want to draw. And we said to her, listen, you can't have a draw, somebody has to win. Anyway, the two boys went for PSG because they said, and I think this is really fair, and they're 16 and 12. For a long time, Arsenal didn't play in the Champions League while they were growing up, obviously, so there was no Arsenal in the Champions League, whereas PSG were always in the Champions League, always breaking their heart, always disappointment. So they said, like, for all those years where we suffered, to see PSG winning the Champions League, which meant beating Arsenal in the semi-final, would be so special, so they rooted for PSG.
There we go.
He's answered it very well.
Yeah.
He answered it very well.
But no, journalists do make it up sometimes, so you can't always trust what he's saying.
And I liked how rational the boys were about it, unlike Jules with his dream draw.
What a dream draw that was.
Okay. Did the Chelsea game show how important Pedri is to Barcelona, guys?
Yes, Pedri is a player that, when him and De Jong are playing at their very best, and they were doing that earlier on in the season, they can be the best midfield partnership in football in terms of controlling the game, controlling the ball, picking out passes, running the game at their tempo. Pedri and Frankie De Jong, when they're at their best, are a formidable pair in that midfield with somebody playing in front of them, whether it's Dani Olmo or whether it's Fermin Lopez. But without him, they didn't get the control, and Frankie De Jong was bypassed. The intensity of the game, he couldn't get around the field quite well enough. Chelsea players were running off the back of him. Pedri is a massive, massive player for both Spain and for Barcelona.
Elliot Anderson, will he be a World Cup star under Tuchel? Which big club will target him? Be most beneficial move for his career? Jules?
I think it's two or three great questions. I think he will start for England and Tuchel loves him. I think him and Declan Rice can be really good in that double pivot for England. I mean, I guess it will depend later on if they go far, who you face, and if you need maybe somebody, something a bit more solid. I don't know, but I think Tuchel absolutely loves him. For the move, I think he will move in the summer for sure, probably for a lot of money, between 80 and 100 million pounds. I don't think Manchester United, who are looking for a player like him and are looking at him, I'm not sure if that's a great move compared to maybe moving to City, who also need another midfielder like him. And I think him and City, for what could be Guardiola's last season, if he stays, could be very, very good, both for City and for Elliot Anderson.
Do you like him, Robbo?
He's a proper midfield player because, as I've always said, I don't believe in a holding midfield player and an attacking midfield player. A midfield player plays in midfield because he's able to do everything. And Anderson is able to do everything. He's athletic, he's good defensive, he's got a defensive mind, he can win tackles, he's energetic, and he can also pick a pass, he can make forward runs, and he can score the odd goal. So he's the all-round midfield player. So, yeah, rate him highly.
Shaka, did you go into every match confident you could get a result, or were there opponents where you thought this is going to be a long day?
He played for West Ham.
Exactly. I used to go to places like Old Trafford when Man U were good. You were just hoping to get out of there without your ego being too badly bruised. Yeah, to Robbo's point, you go to Anfield, you go to Old Trafford, anything you get, if you get a point, it's a bonus, and you leave as quickly as you can. So, short answer to that question is nope. There were times you just tried to get out.
It depends who you're playing for.
Well, your name's on the question, and you played for West Ham as well.
Yes, I played for West Ham, and they were on the downward spiral after coming third the year before. And there were clubs you went to and you knew you weren't going to get results. Liverpool was the biggest one at the time. They were the team that would play you off the park. You hardly got a kick. Manchester United weren't quite so good then, but were coming to the fore. And Arsenal were good at the time when they were playing under George Graham.
At the time.
When they were playing a very high, they were playing a high line under George Graham before people got used to that and started to break it down. But they were a really good team. So Arsenal, Manchester United and Liverpool were the sides that it was always difficult to go to.
Were there ever those little ones, though, that you're always like, what? I don't know why it's this team, but they're always a nightmare for us to play?
I never liked going to QPR
Right.
because QPR had the AstroTurf pitch at the time. So they were mid-table side in the top division. You went there, it was horrible to play on. They knew how to play on it. They played balls into feet. The players knew when they could turn, how they could turn, how to close down. When you went there, you didn't even play in boots. You played in trainers.
Yeah.
It wasn't a proper game.
Yeah.
And so I hated going there.
But for me, it was Wimbledon. I hated playing against Wimbledon, even kind of after the crazy gang days. So in the 98-99 season, where we finished fifth, we started the season wonderfully well.
Is this West Ham or Newcastle?
West Ham.
Yeah.
West Ham. And as a matter of fact, so I think we'd won the first 4 games and I hadn't conceded or something like that. We're 3-0 up at half-time at home to Wimbledon. Lose the game 4-3. Oh, Wimbledon just was somehow, and again, this is post the crazy gang days, they just came out second half and just beat us up. And it just seemed to be same old story for me against Wimbledon every single time.
Nice stuff, guys. OK, Jules, is Brendan Rodgers' next move going to be going back to the Premier League if a job opens up?
That's an interesting one. Obviously, his seasons, the second stint at Celtic was not as good as the first one. Obviously, it was always going to be hard to do. Although last season was great, this season not so good. He got sacked. There was a lot of attention around him and around the club and all of that. And I don't know what club would he want in the Premier League. Is he still potentially a candidate for a top 8? So we're talking, the really big boys. I'm not sure his reputation is that high anymore. So what, you go again into a mid-table team? Is that what he wants? I find it really hard to predict where he would want to go, and also, knowing him, he would want a top club. Realistically, I'm not sure he can get a top club, and again, I'm even mid-table. I'm not sure who would turn to him next, to be fair.
I think he's got to look at the likes of West Ham if they don't do well under Nunes. Even if Wolves went down and try and bring them back up, that's the sort of job that I think he could get. And Jules is absolutely right. He wouldn't get a top 6 club now or top 8 club. It's just, I think it's been too long. He's been out of the game for a little while. He didn't have a great time at Leicester when they went down. So I think he's going to struggle to get a top Premier League side if he does come back to the Premier League. Oh, hang on.
Xhaka once recounted his story of squaring up with a goat while holding his daughter in his hands and Jules running away from a scary dog. Does Robbo have any interesting animal encounters?
Animal encounters? Not particularly. Mind you, I did own some goats at one time.
What?
Yes.
Probably your goat.
So
your goat.
Yeah, it was my goat. Yeah. I hope you didn't kick it or anything like that. So we had 2 goats. Well, this is when I lived with my mum and dad when I was about 17, 18. I bought a house and it had a garden that was overgrown. And somebody said, you can try and get lawnmowers in. You keep breaking the lawnmowers. The best thing to do is to get in 2 goats. And we made them a nice little house because they don't like rain. And the goats had 4 kids. And so we had 6 goats, and they did exactly what we wanted them to do. They completely got the garden down to nothing, so we could then start planting some plants. And then we fenced them in, obviously, and then took them out to this other field. One day, they jumped over the fence into the garden and completely destroyed the garden by eating all the flowers and all the plants. they were there for about 5 hours. Oh, they can eat. I tell you, goats can eat.
What happened after that?
I
hope they were spared.
No, they were spared. We put them back.
Yeah,
and they just
right.
made the fence a bit higher. Oh, they were loved. I mean, my mum and dad loved them. They took them out into this walk
Curry them
on a
goats,
lead.
the quickness.
Xhaka's not a goat lover by all accounts.
Curry them, let me tell you, curry goat, you can't get a curry goat.
Xhaka, I remember that story, but why did that happen? I recall it's from somewhere.
Yeah, so there's an elementary school. This is when I was at Portsmouth. There's an elementary school in Southampton. I can't remember the name of the school. But right next
primary school, they call it in England, not
primary
elementary.
school. Well, primary school. And then there's a little kind of nursery right next door, but they had animals, including this one small goat. So I'm dropping, my youngest daughter had to be 1, so I've got her in my arms. I'm dropping the other kids off.
You know what's coming, don't you, Kate? You know
dropping my other kids off at school. So I got my daughter out of the car, and all of a sudden this goat disappeared. So now he's kind of up on his... I'm with my daughter. The goat starts attacking me, like he gets up on his hind legs and like trying to headbutt me. But now I've got my daughter in my hands, so I've got to, kind of keep her to this side. I'm kind of like every time the goat goes up.
What do you think he was protecting more, his daughter or his Maserati?
No, this is post Maserati. I've got all the kids. I've got three dropping off at school, 1 in my arms, and this goat coming for me. I'm like, oh, come. Every time the goat goes up the hind legs, I have to give it one of them. And
they've got a nip on them as well, goats.
Oh, I'll take your word for it.
I would have loved to have seen a video of that.
Oh, no, God. Let me tell you. I'm like, how I find myself in this situation fighting a goat?
But you did?
But, some things, not all heroes wear capes.
Some days are more eventful than others. Jules, what's your story here then, running away from the scary dog?
Yeah, I mean, I must have been 12 or 13. We were on holidays at my parents' friends in Dordogne, and we were playing football. The ball goes over the fence in the neighbour's garden, and our friends didn't get on at all with the neighbours. They were not very nice, and they had a dog who was quite a mean dog called Adolf. Exactly, to tell you a bit about the kind of family they were. Yeah, Adolf was the name of the dog. It was so mean that he had a lead that was tied into a big wire that was covering their whole garden, so he could still run but could not escape because he was so mean, right? The ball is in the middle of the garden. My dad says, go and get it. I was like, I can't, there's the dog. He said, go and get it. So I go over the fence, go to get the ball. The dog sees me. He starts running at me. I've got the ball. I run back towards the fence, right? And as I'm about to climb the fence, he literally bit my bum a little bit. I swear to you, I've never been so scared in my life than that day against Adolf. And then somehow I jumped over the fence, but my bum was all red. It was horrible, man. Horrible Adolf. He bit my bum. I can still picture it in my head now. I swear, it's so bad.
My wife, we had a cat. My wife and I, we had a cat, and she was stroking it one day, and suddenly it turned on and bit her arm, and it went right into the arm. And I said, oh, you'll be all right, don't worry about that. The arm started to swell up. I said, oh, don't worry. She said, oh, do you think I need to go to hospital? I went, no, leave it. She went about 2 days later, and they said, as she left it any longer, she'd have had to have her arm amputated because the poison was going up her arm.
Oh,
yeah. So if you get bitten by a cat or scratched by a cat, make sure you go. There's my sort of word of warning to anybody that's got cats. Go to the hospital straight away.
Yes, absolutely.
Get your tetanus injection. And make sure you get it
and
cleaned
never
up.
listen to medical advice from Robbo before that.
yeah.
Because otherwise you'll be losing an arm. For Shaka, last question. Will we ever get a power rankings on Thanksgiving dishes?
Is there enough? 10 dishes?
No, well, let's a turkey. Green bean
Some would say you know more about food than you do about football. There we go.
Gravy.
But not you?
No, not me.
Okay, 5. You could do a power ranking of 5.
What's the 5 over here?
Pumpkin pie, turkey, gravy, sweet potato casserole of some
What
type.
about
Stuffing.
pecan pie? Is that a
Pecan. I like pumpkin pie. Who eats a pumpkin pie? I don't think I've ever eaten pumpkin pie in my life.
And mixed cranberry sauce.
There's
Green bean casserole.
not very inspiring power
I'm not
rankings here.
inspired by Thanksgiving food, but I said it in the makeup room the other day and it went down like a lead balloon. And I didn't want them to do my hair and makeup bad. I think that I insulted people.
What'd you say?
I'm not a big Thanksgiving food fan.
No,
I don't think it's the best
No,
of the
it's not.
cuisine.
So what about Christmas? What do you eat at
Christmas is at least a little better than some of it, in my opinion.
Thanksgiving is all turkey.
That's what Christmas is.
Turkey is the star of Thanksgiving. And turkey and all that. As meats go, I'd much prefer
I've got to say, the canteen do a good turkey here.
I'd have a curry goat over with turkey all day, every day.
Did you used to bring your entire family to the calf on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, used to. Yeah.
He's a cheapskate. That's what.
No, no. So
you got a free voucher, didn't
so
you?
let me tell you. Let me get this story to that. Let me get. So my brother-in-law, wife's brother, used to live here in Connecticut, and my mother-in-law would come up from DC to spend Thanksgiving with my brother-in-law and his wife and so. So I used to say, well, okay, what we'll do, the whole family will come down. I'd go to my brother-in-law's place, but they'd come here to the calf with me. I would work, and then they'd go spend Thanksgiving with that side of the family. And then on the Friday, my brother lives in Massachusetts, so him and his family would come to mine. So then we'd have like 2 days, so we get to see my wife's mom and her family on the Thanksgiving day, and then my family on the Friday. So I used to come into work, as you know, I live in Massachusetts, not Connecticut. So I used to bring everybody together. So that was the story behind it.
Oh, that's nice.
That was a long story.
Oh, you were all like, well, he's a cheapskate.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, man, I didn't do anything yet.
I do bring my kids to the calf to eat sometimes.
With a free voucher?
It's easier. No, not with a free voucher. But there's
Not
sometimes-
free.
Yeah, no.
It's free.
How
it's
did they
free.
get in? I have trouble getting in every time I come over.
Got to know the right
So
people.
the Thanksgiving meal is free if you're working, free for staff. I used to have to pay for them.
Oh, man.
Little buggers. So,
Yeah.
as you know, there's a lot of kids I've got.
I know, you already just talked about how many kids you were juggling
Right.
with the goat story.
Yeah, and I did.
And then you added more.
There was
Did you
addition after
did you never learn your lesson?
Well,
After a couple, do you think, hang on, I've had enough now? That's it.
Well,
What
there's
lesson
a
would
lot
that
I can
be,
say
Robbo?
about that. There's a lot of. Let's wrap this up.
No, it's probably sorry we wrap that up
quick.
because, we don't want to put you lot off your dinner. Anyway, thank you so much for sending in your questions today. Thank you, Jules. I'm glad that your bum's okay. Make sure to be back tomorrow on ESPN FC with a lot more.